to the First Gen All-In Experience.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the First Gen All-In Experience podcast. It is Career Mentor Week with the States and Pioneers. I'm Kira Sees.
I'm Michaela Jones.
And today we have a very special guest.
Hi, CT Salazar.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what do you do? Any accomplishments, accolades, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, sure. Well, what's got me at Delta State with y'all is I'm a faculty at Delta State. I direct the university archives and museums, so I'm part of the library crew. Y'all are in my workspace right now. Yeah. um, Outside of that, I do some community initiatives and some work in the writing field. I lead a book club weekly with Parchman Penitentiary's Death Row Unit, Mondays at 12. So that's why this is happening before 12.
That's Everyone wants to know, like, okay, you can't have the good without the bad.
Yeah. And I'm still facing challenges, honestly, because I think for me and everyone who starts writing wants to be like, and then when can I be published? Right. But a lot of my challenges were kind of stemming from like, I liked writing because I realized that it was like an environment I was creating where I didn't feel like I was on trial. And I've had to like it's a weird feeling, but I've dealt with this throughout my entire life where I feel like I'm on trial constantly. I feel like no matter what I was doing, especially when I was growing up, that there was always a group of people like pointing a finger at me, or that I was always stepping somewhere I shouldn't be, and that I was always like one moment away from being accused of something. I was always out of my element. I was always in someone else's environment, but not my own. And then writing was a place where I could shake that feeling. I didn't feel like I was on trial when I was writing. But then the next step was, can I really like articulate why I feel the way I feel in this world? And I think that there's a lot of connections there to like, there's a strong feminist writer, philosopher, activist named Audre Lorde who wrote an essay called "Poetry is Not a Luxury," where she talks about the utility of poetry is that it gives us a language that we don't ordinarily have to build a better world. That poetry is actually a tool of giving the people a form of alternative justice. So what are we living in now, but can we have language that imagines an alternative where these aren't our problems? So I was really deep into thinking about that with like, am I writing in a way that I actually understand is my writing helping me understand what I'm going through? So that was a big challenge that I worked through for a long time, was just like how to become a good enough writer that I feel like, okay, now I'm getting at what I've been trying to get at. And I'm still dealing with that. I still wonder sometimes if like a lot of the drafts that I end up like trashing, they might be okay works, but it's stuff that I'm like, I didn't connect with it then, so it's not worth it. And so I'm trying to think about the timelines because this is kind of shaky now too.
Been in the game for so long.
Yeah, such a veteran. I mean, but yeah, I think I was working through those. I was trying to resolve. I was just trying to focus on being a better writer, and I think that was how I thought I could be a better writer. And then once I got to that stage in myself, the big publishing steps felt a lot more intuitive. Like it didn't feel like as much of a question once I was, I guess, at that like personal step. So I guess just focusing on what I needed from myself with my writing helped some of the other more ambiguous looming parts just happen a little bit easier. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you like thought about stepping out your comfort zone and writing like something that you never wrote before?
Yeah, I'm in that right now. So I'm trying to I'm writing like, it started off as a play, but it's grown so much that it's too long to sit through on a stage. So it is like I'm in a space now where I'm like, am I writing a novel? And I don't really know what it is yet, but I'm still writing it. and I've been writing it for a few years now. So I'm deeply out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
a lot of artists, they like kind of stick to
They
themselves.
stick to like one genre
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
one thing.
Because I like when they go venture out, it makes you more
Yeah.
interesting to read.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
have you ever thought about writing a book on that, like your life, like
Like an autobiography?
Yeah.
That'd be wild. I don't know that. I don't think I've had an interesting enough life.
He was like, I gotta let it, like, you know, feel out somewhere.
Something big's gotta happen.
One thing that stuck out to me when you were talking about your like hardships and experiences, when you were saying how you felt like you were constantly on trial, it had reminded me of how when you were saying when you first started writing, you were like, I'm writing in my own language. I'm not sure if people will understand that. But whenever you published it and you saw people were resonating with it, did that kind of help you gain more confidence where you were like, okay, I know I kind of thought I was a little off, but people are actually grasping to what I'm saying. So this might make me feel better in the future when it comes to like writing. How did you kind of have like that mental process?
Yeah. No, it's definitely. Like, it definitely kind of reassured me that, well, one, when a publisher was like, "We love this and we want to make it a book," that was a big moment where I was like, "Oh, like,
You're like, oh, huh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah," because it's something about like realizing that, like, oh, this thing I'm feeling is like legible to other people.
Right.
Um, and yeah, the more people connected with what I was trying to do, the more I did feel like I had more permission to keep writing.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I was kind of at a point where I was, especially with that first book, like, yeah, again, like I was like, I don't think anyone outside of myself would even like feel this. Um, but yeah, I think like just having that permission to keep trying over and over, and I feel like each book you kind of have to have permission, or you have to find a way to give yourself permission where it's like, okay, now you're starting over.
Right. It's like
Again.
this is a completely new material versus the last one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of starting from scratch over and
Right.
over.
Oh Lord. That's what probably like make me a little anxious. It's like I know what people like. I don't want to. You don't want to just keep like
Yeah.
regurgitating the same thing. So it's like, where else can I come from or pull from that will get the same like, you know, validation, but it's not the
Yeah.
same thing as the last thing. So
And how to keep it interesting
keep
for
it
yourself
interesting, keep it
too.
fresh, new. Don't get burnt out in the
Right.
process. Just,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It is anxiety inducing,
It is
isn't it?
anxiety-inducing.
Crazy. There's therapy on campus. There's free counselors.
Yeah, we had to do like for my human factors class, we had to go to we had to do 4 therapy sessions, and I was just like, my goodness.
Yeah.
But I applaud that. It's a lot of anxiety. I applaud that.
Well, that was a good question, but I got another one
Okay.
for you.
Yeah.
How did you stay inspired and maintain passion with a writing career? And what does longevity look like in the literature and content creation field?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So I think just the first part. Sorry, I also want to acknowledge that Chandler is behind us yo-yoing just for the podcast.
I thought I was crazy. I was like, I see something go.
You don't hear him, you don't see him, but know that it's happening.
Shame.
But yeah, so to the first part of your question, for me, like what helps me like stay fulfilled and want to keep doing it is that like I think poetry specifically, it's a very social art. It's something that like we have this like idea that writers are like deeply isolated people who like write alone and drink too much and
one night every night.
Yeah. and no one understands them, and they mail these erratic stacks of papers to publishers and they're like brilliant, and then I publish it, but it's not like that at all. Writing is actually a deeply community based art form where if you're a poet, you lead poetry workshops, you work with communities. Like I love working with kids. Weekly I also work with a retirement community where it's 55 and up, and we just come together, we read a poem together, we talk about it, and then we spend some time writing based off of a prompt. And it's stuff like that that feels fulfilling enough that I stay like invigorated with it, because there's moments where I keep realizing that like if I weren't doing this, if I weren't a writer, I wouldn't be meeting these people, and I wouldn't have meaningful relationships to all the people I have relationships to. So that's kind of like what keeps me doing it, is the sense of like I keep getting like sustained and fulfilled by these like wonderful little communities that pop up around writing. And that's what makes it worth it enough to keep writing, is knowing that there's all these groups of folks just around.
Yeah. You say you work with kids also. Have you ever thought about like writing a kid's novel or poetry, like something in that category?
Or just like, writing for beginners. Yeah. Like, something small.
A step, like a book, a step, having a book that's like step by step of what they can do and how to start.
I haven't taken a step beyond thinking about it. But yeah, it would be cool to like imagine a book that's like not even just for me, but for like, because one thing I've noticed too is that teachers who don't have poetry backgrounds feel really alienated by trying to teach poetry to their children in classrooms. And so I've noticed that a lot of times when teachers bring me in to work with like elementary or middle school classrooms, a lot of why I'm there is because they don't feel empowered to teach it themselves, and they don't really know how to teach it. And they feel kind of shut down by it. So I've thought about even a book that's more of like a low impact kind of classroom tool, just not even for like writers or like text for like young kids learning how to write, but a tool that can help anyone working with kids teach writing.
Like break it down, like stanza by stanza and different types and all. Because like I remember learning about poetry, I loved it. Then we got to like haikus, and I was like,
yeah.
It's like,
The first ever poetry I wrote was 11th grade year.
Yeah.
For a Black History program.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember it because it was long.
Yeah. I say, do you remember the poet that you were reading or anything like that?
I made it up.
Yeah.
We were supposed to make our own thing. Yeah. And I made it up.
Okay, yeah.
But I got a 96 on it, so
okay.
She could have given it.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, let me do a question off the top of my head.
Okay.
What's the most controversial opinion about writing that you have?
Oh, wow. The most controversial opinion. Ooh.
So that's like...
Yeah, let me think about this. This is good. I like this question. I love sharing controversial opinions unscripted, like, yeah, okay. So my biggest like take is that because a lot of writers like defend how to write. Mm-hmm. My like I think spiciest take is that like you will never harm the reputation of poetry by writing bad poems or by writing at all. Yeah. So whenever there's like an instance of like, no, you're not supposed to write this way, you're supposed to write this way, or this is the wrong way to approach it.
Like says who?
Says who?
So basically everybody has their own intake of how they write their own poetry.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's and like you didn't make poetry. It's not like it's subjective.
And it's like a 4,000-year-old community-based practice. Like there's no instance in which you're gonna harm the reputation or the institution of poetry by trying to write a poem yourself.
You're like, oh, poetry is horrible. That one guy in Wisconsin, he ruined it for everybody else. It's like,
it was going great until Ted.
Until Ted. But I like it. You have anyone? Like, no, but that's a good take because I feel like a lot of people, they like, especially if they're like coming in, they try to stay like by the book, where it's like there is no book. You write the book.
Yeah.
You're the writer. You write the book. There's not like it has to be done this way. You can only talk about this. You can only write it this way. It's like, no, it's because like I see writing and like literature and art as like it's a self-based thing.
Yeah,
you are the medium. You decide what you want to put on the paper. So there's really not like a right or wrong way.
That's right. Yeah. And the biggest writers we have in the canon, like in the like history and study, are usually writers who all of the aesthetic was moving one way and then they went a completely opposite direction. Right. I'm thinking about like there's a Mississippi poet named Etheridge Knight who started writing in prison while he was incarcerated. He was writing during high modernism, so like Wallace Stevens, Ezra Pound, these people were writing like deeply simple unrhymed poems. Like I don't know if you guys have ever heard that like 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird poem.
I think I heard it.
It's deeply strange, unrhymed, but it's an example of modernism. And then here comes Etheridge Knight, who is writing poems that rhyme. Yeah. And when he was asked about it, the reason he said like because they were the American poetry had moved so far away from what he was doing a lot of people were interested in why he was writing the way he was. And he had won a Guggenheim, he had won like a MacArthur, he had won all these big awards for his writing that was behind the times in a way. But his reasoning was, if you asked a black man in jail what a poem is, he would say it's a thing that rhymes. So that's why his poems rhyme, because he wanted his community to know and understand his writing.
I mean, rap is rhythm and poetry,
yeah.
So
it
makes sense right there. Yeah, thank you so much. Any other comments or questions?
Those some good questions, but
Yeah, I learned a
good?
lot. I should go home and write in your journals. Yeah. I'm gonna go home and do that. That was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to me.
Out your day to answer some questions. Out your day to answer some questions. Sorry, Zach. How's your day to answer some questions?
I'm gonna use that.
How's your data? How's your
Glittering.
Credit. All right. Okay. Thank y'all so much for tuning into the podcast. Once again, I'm Kara Cease.
And I'm Michaela Jones.
And today we had
CT Salazar.
So tune in next time where we'll be talking about more mentors. Oh, we need to get the horror podcast.
Yeah, you gotta get Mel.
We gotta get that.
Yeah, spooky. Mel's cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank y'all.